Let me ask you something personal, and I want you to think about it, really think. When was the last time you ate something you believed was good for you, but afterward, you just didn't feel right? Maybe your chest felt a little tight. Maybe you felt oddly tired. Or your blood pressure crept up, and you couldn't figure out why. You might have blamed stress, or old age, or just said, well, that's just how it is now. But, what if the problem isn't your age? What if, and I say this with care, the problem is sitting right there on your plate, looking fresh, crunchy, and healthy? Because here's the truth, and I say this not to scare you, but to protect you. Not every vegetable is heart-healthy for seniors. Yes, you heard that right. You've been told all your life, by doctors, by diet books, by wellness shows, that vegetables are the holy grail. And don't get me wrong, they can be. But for older adults, for people over 60, for those living with high blood pressure, taking blood thinners, dealing with kidney decline or arrhythmias, some vegetables that seem clean and green are quietly messing with your body's rhythm. And it's happening in a way that's so subtle, you wouldn't even notice until your energy dips, your heartbeat flutters, or your lab results start raising red flags. Now, I'm not saying this to alarm you. I'm saying this because I care. And because you deserve to know the truth, the whole truth, not just the headline that says, eat more vegetables, but the fine print that no one ever told you. Here's what science is starting to reveal, and I'll keep it simple, no medical jargon. Certain vegetables are high in things like oxalates, lectins, or even potassium, and in small amounts, for young, healthy people, that's not a big deal. But when your kidneys aren't filtering like they used to, when you're on heart medications that already thin the blood or affect your heartbeat, when your arteries are a little more sensitive now, those same healthy veggies, they can become quiet triggers, slowly raising blood pressure, interfering with meds, or contributing to calcium buildup in the heart. And it's not your fault. You've been trying to do the right thing. You've been trying to eat better, to take care of yourself. But no one told you that your body, now, at this age, needs a different kind of attention. A gentler kind. A wiser kind. So in today's video, we're going to walk through 5 vegetables that you probably eat every week, and I'll show you how, depending on your health, they might be silently hurting your heart. We're going to talk about one popular green that can spike potassium dangerously high, a veggie that's known to interfere with blood thinners, a root vegetable that could be causing dizzy spells or fatigue, and one surprising food that might be contributing to calcium in your arteries. But don't worry, I'm not going to tell you to cut out all vegetables. Instead, I'll show you safe ways to enjoy them, what to swap in, and how to eat in a way that actually supports your heart, not stresses it. And before we get into it, I want to ask you something. Has this ever happened to you or someone in your family? Have you eaten something healthy, maybe spinach, tomatoes, or beets, and then felt strange afterward? Let me know in the comments. Because when we share these experiences, we help each other. You're not alone in this. And if this kind of honest, heartfelt, science-backed advice means something to you, if you want a calm, supportive space to learn and take better care of yourself or your loved one, please consider subscribing to Senior Healing. We're here every week to help you live with clarity, peace, and strength. Now, let's talk about the first vegetable on that list, and why it may not be as heart-friendly as you've been told. Spinach. Yes, spinach. That vibrant green that's been called a superfood for decades. The leafy favorite that's found in salads, smoothies, even those frozen veggie blends we keep in the back of the freezer. Now, I want you to imagine someone like Ms. Lila. She's 78. A grandmother. Bright smile. Watches her salt. Walks every morning. She's trying, really trying, to do everything right. And for the past year, she's had a bowl of fresh spinach almost every day with lunch. Why wouldn't she? She read it lowers blood pressure, supports the heart, and it's full of iron and vitamins. It's what the magazines and nutrition shows say, right? But here's the thing. When Ms. Lila went for her regular checkup, her labs showed something unexpected. Her kidney function had dipped a little. Nothing dramatic, but enough to raise concern. And when we looked deeper, we noticed high levels of oxalates in her blood. Oxalates are natural compounds found in many plant foods, and spinach is one of the highest sources. Now, let me explain that simply. No need for medical terms. Oxalates bind to calcium in the body. And when that happens, especially in the kidneys, it can lead to calcium oxalate crystals, which are the most common type of kidney stones. Now I know what you might be thinking. But I don't have kidney stones. Fair, but here's where it matters for the heart. Even if you haven't had stones, if your kidneys are under extra stress from years of wear and tear, or from medications, even slight changes in kidney function can cause fluid retention, affect your blood pressure, or disrupt how your heart manages electrolytes. The heart and kidneys are a team. When one struggles, the other feels it. And for someone over 60, especially if you've got a history of high blood pressure, diabetes, or even just age-related kidney decline, that daily spinach salad might not be doing what you think it's doing. And here's the myth I want to gently correct. We've been taught to believe spinach is always good for the heart. But in seniors, that's not always true. Not if your kidneys aren't filtering efficiently. Not if you're on blood thinners like warfarin, which can interact with spinach's high levels of vitamin K, affecting how well your medication works. And not if you're eating it raw every single day. Now, I'm not saying you should throw spinach out. Absolutely not. But I'm saying you might want to rethink how you're eating it, and how often. Here's what I tell my patients, and it's made a big difference. First, if you love spinach, consider steaming it lightly instead of eating it raw. Cooking helps break down some of those oxalates, making it gentler on your kidneys. Second, pair it with calcium-rich foods, like a small slice of cheese or plain Greek yogurt. This helps bind the oxalates in the digestive tract, so they leave your body safely, instead of burdening your kidneys. And third, and maybe most important, rotate your greens. Your body thrives on variety. Instead of spinach every day, try arugula one day, kale the next, maybe even Swiss chard now and then. Each brings its own nutrients, and rotating helps avoid buildup of any one compound, like oxalates. Because here's the deeper truth. Taking care of your heart isn't about cutting everything out. It's about learning how your body works now, and adjusting with wisdom. And you deserve to know this. Not after a health scare. Not after a trip to the ER. You deserve to know it now, so you can enjoy the foods you love, without putting silent strain on your most precious organ. Alright, take a deep breath. That was a lot. But you're doing great. Just by being here, you're already showing your heart some love. Let's move on, and talk about the next veggie on our list. It's one that shows up in every salad, sandwich, and side dish. But for people with heart rhythm issues, it can quietly trigger trouble. Now, let's talk about another food that seems innocent, even comforting. You'll find it sliced on sandwiches, diced in salads, blended into sauces. And it's one of the first vegetables we think of when we say the word healthy. I'm talking about tomatoes, especially raw ones. Now let me introduce you to Mr. Harold. He's 75. Retired schoolteacher. Lives with his wife, loves gardening, and has always believed in eating fresh. Every evening, like clockwork, he'd have a salad with thick slices of juicy tomatoes. Red, ripe, and straight from his backyard in summer. But after dinner, he started feeling off. Not every time, but more and more often. A little tightness in his chest. A strange flutter in his heartbeat. Sometimes, it felt like his heart skipped a beat. Other times, it was a deep, burning discomfort in his chest, like indigestion that wouldn't settle. Now Harold thought, maybe I ate too fast. Maybe it's just aging. But when we looked at his symptoms and his daily habits, a pattern emerged. See, Harold has atrial fibrillation, a common heart rhythm disorder in older adults. And he also struggles with acid reflux, that burning, nagging sensation after certain meals. And here's where tomatoes come in. Tomatoes, especially when raw, are high in natural acids and rich in potassium. And while potassium is essential for heart function, too much, or too much too fast, can disrupt the heart's electrical rhythm, especially if you're already on heart medication or if your kidneys aren't filtering efficiently. Think of your heart like a finely tuned orchestra. Potassium, calcium, magnesium, they're all instruments in that orchestra. But if just one section, let's say the violins, plays too loud or too fast, the whole performance falls apart. That's what happens when too much potassium enters the bloodstream suddenly. Your heart may respond with flutters, skipped beats, or even a racing feeling. Now, about that acid, tomatoes are naturally acidic, and for someone dealing with GERD or reflux, that acid can irritate the lining of your esophagus, leading to that heavy, burning sensation many seniors confuse with heart problems. So here's the myth I want to gently clear up. We're often told, tomatoes are heart healthy. They're full of antioxidants, lycopene, and all the good stuff. And that's not wrong, when they're cooked. Cooking tomatoes lowers their acidity, softens the potassium hit, and unlocks lycopene, which does benefit the heart and helps fight inflammation. But raw tomatoes, especially eaten in large amounts or at night, can quietly cause problems in older adults, especially if you're living with AFib, GERD, or compromised kidney function. And the saddest part? Mr. Harold didn't know. He thought he was doing everything right. It wasn't until he adjusted how he ate tomatoes, switching to gently roasted or simmered tomato-based dishes, that those fluttery episodes started to fade. So what can you do? Here's what I recommend. If you enjoy tomatoes, and many do, just change how you prepare them. Try roasting them. Toss them in olive oil and herbs, and let them soften in the oven. Or add them to a light stew or soup, where the acidity is balanced out by other ingredients. And if you've been told to watch your potassium levels, maybe due to kidney concerns, be cautious with tomato juice, tomato paste, or canned sauces, which can be extremely concentrated in potassium and sodium. And always, talk with your doctor or dietitian about how much potassium you should be getting, based on your medications and lab results. Because here's what I believe with my whole heart. It's not about fear. It's about precision. About knowing your body. About choosing foods that work with you, not against you. And when you know what to look out for, like the difference between raw and cooked tomatoes, you're not just eating smarter. You're protecting your heart with every bite. All right, take a breath. You're doing wonderfully so far. This kind of learning, it's not easy. It's not always comfortable. But you're here, and that means you're taking steps that can make a real difference in your health, or someone you care about deeply. Let's keep going. Because the next vegetable? It's one of the most common comfort foods in the world. It fills you up. It's warm. It's familiar. But for seniors, especially those watching their blood pressure, it may be doing more harm than you realize. Let me tell you about a couple I've seen for years now. They're the kind of couple you smile just thinking about. Married over 50 years, still teasing each other during checkups, always trying to take better care of themselves. They came in one day, a little concerned. The husband, let's call him Mr. D, had been noticing his blood pressure creeping up again, despite being careful with salt, taking his meds, and walking every morning. So we talked through his meals. Nothing obvious jumped out, until his wife, smiling but a little sheepish, said, "Well, we do love our baked potatoes at night. Just a little one. With a little seasoning." And there it was. Potatoes. Simple. Comforting. Familiar. But for many seniors, especially those watching their heart health, they can carry a quiet risk that often gets overlooked. Let's break it down gently. Potatoes, especially white potatoes, are high in starchy carbohydrates. Now that starch turns into sugar, glucose, the moment it hits your digestive system. For younger folks, That quick spike might not be a big deal. But as we age, our bodies often struggle to regulate blood sugar as efficiently, especially if we're managing prediabetes, type 2 diabetes, or insulin resistance, which are common in seniors. And guess what happens when blood sugar spikes too high or too fast, too often? It stresses your blood vessels. It leads to inflammation. It puts pressure on the arterial walls. And that is one of the earliest steps toward hypertension, atherosclerosis, and eventually, heart disease. But there's another piece here. Most people don't eat a plain baked potato. It's usually dressed up, with butter, sour cream, maybe some cheese, and often seasoned salt or even flavored salt blends. That's where it gets sneaky. A medium-baked potato by itself already contains about 15% of your daily potassium, which can be risky if you're on potassium-retaining meds. But once you add those salty seasonings, you could be adding 300 to 600 milligrams of sodium in one sitting, and most people don't realize it. It's easy to think, oh, it's just a little sprinkle. But those little sprinkles, night after night, add up. And your heart, it notices. Now here's the myth. People often say, a baked potato is healthy, right? It's not fried. I'm not eating chips. And yes, baked is better than fried. But that doesn't automatically make it heart healthy. Here's what I want you to understand, and this part is important. It's not just the potato, it's how often, how much, and what you eat it with. A big white potato with salt and butter at night? That's a lot of sugar and sodium hitting your system all at once, just before bed, when your metabolism slows and your heart wants to rest. So what can you do instead? Here's what I recommend to my patients, and it works beautifully. Swap in sweet potatoes instead, but in smaller portions. Sweet potatoes are still starchy, yes, but they're lower on the glycemic index, meaning they don't spike your blood sugar as fast. They're also packed with fiber, beta-carotene, and anti-inflammatory nutrients that support your heart, your eyes, and your immune system. And whether you're having sweet or white potatoes, here's the real trick. Pair them with fiber and protein. A handful of steamed broccoli. A small piece of grilled chicken. Even a spoonful of cottage cheese. These slow down digestion, cushion the impact on your blood sugar, and help your heart process everything more gently. And if you must use salt, go easy. Better yet, try herbs like rosemary, garlic, paprika, or lemon zest. They add flavor without raising your blood pressure. Because here's the bottom line. It's not about giving up comfort. It's about giving your body comfort it can actually handle at this stage of life. You've earned the right to enjoy your meals, but also the right to protect your heart. Mr. D. Once he started alternating sweet potatoes, cutting back on the seasoning blends, and adding a bit of lean protein at dinner, his blood pressure began to settle again. No big dramatic changes. Just a few thoughtful ones. And that's what I want for you too. You don't have to give up flavor. You don't have to eat bland or boring food. You just need to eat with a little more awareness of what your heart needs now, not what it needed 30 years ago. You're doing great. Let's keep going. Because the next vegetable on our list, it's a favorite in many cultures, grilled, stewed, or roasted, but it belongs to a plant family that, for some seniors, triggers joint pain, stomach upset, and yes, even heart rhythm changes. Now, the next vegetable I want to talk to you about, it's one that shows up in dishes across the world. From Mediterranean stews to Middle Eastern dips to Italian pastas, it's known for its soft, meaty texture, which is why so many people use it as a vegetarian alternative to meat. We're talking about eggplant. Now at first glance, eggplant seems harmless. It's low in calories, rich in fiber, and it absorbs flavors beautifully. But I want you to meet Ms. Janet, a lovely woman I see regularly. She's 70, full of energy, and still enjoys cooking big family meals on Sundays. And one of her favorite recipes? A hearty eggplant stew, slow cooked, filled with herbs, tomatoes, and spices. But over the past few months, she started noticing something troubling. She felt stiff in the mornings, like her joints were slower to wake up. Her knees ached after walks. And every so often, her heartbeat would feel off. A strange flutter here, a skipped beat there. Nothing dramatic, but enough to make her pause. At first, she brushed it off. Just age, she thought. But when we talked through her meals, and she mentioned how often she was cooking with eggplant, something clicked. Here's why. Eggplants belong to a group of plants called the nightshade family, along with tomatoes, peppers, and white potatoes. And these nightshades contain a compound called solanine. Now solanine is a natural chemical defense plants use to protect themselves from pests. But in some sensitive people, especially older adults, solanine can trigger inflammation in the joints and even affect the nervous system in subtle ways. And when you combine that with potassium, which eggplants also contain in moderate levels, you get a vegetable that can, under the right conditions, disrupt the body's balance. For someone on heart medications that already influence potassium levels, or for someone with a history of joint pain, arthritis, or arrhythmias, eggplant can sometimes do more harm than good, even if you've never had an issue with it before. Now, I want to be clear, not everyone reacts to eggplant. Some people eat it weekly and feel fine. But if you've noticed that after meals with eggplant, your joints ache a little more, or your stomach feels unsettled, or your heartbeat feels out of sync, it's worth paying attention to. And that brings us to a common myth I often hear. Eggplant is a great, healthy substitute for meat. That's partly true. Eggplant has that thick, chewy texture, and yes, it's low in fat and cholesterol. But if you're someone who's prone to inflammation or has heart rhythm issues, eggplant may not be as gentle as it appears. So, what can you do if you love the taste of eggplant? Well, here's the good news. There are safe ways to enjoy it. First, you can peel it and soak it before cooking. Peeling reduces the solanine load. Most of it lives in the skin. Soaking, especially in salted water, helps draw out some of the bitterness and solanine as well. It's an old technique, but it works beautifully. Second, cook it thoroughly. High heat breaks down some of those tough compounds that raw or undercooked eggplant can leave behind. And if you're still sensitive, or just want to play it safe, consider swapping in zucchini or mushrooms. Both give you a soft, savory texture. Zucchini is low in potassium, easy on the gut, and less likely to trigger inflammation. Mushrooms offer a satisfying, meaty feel and come with heart-protective antioxidants, without the solanine risk. Because here's the heart of the matter. Eating for your age, for your real current body, means understanding which foods lift you up, and which ones quietly wear you down. Ms. Janet. She didn't have to give up her stew. She just made a few tweaks, swapped in zucchini, peeled her eggplants when she used them, and cooked them down slowly. Within weeks, she noticed her knees felt lighter. Her mornings weren't as stiff. And those little heart flutters? They became less and less frequent. So if you're someone who loves eggplant, I'm not here to take it away from you. I'm just here to give you the tools to use it wisely. Because sometimes, the smallest change in the kitchen leads to the biggest shift in how you feel. Alright, you've done an amazing job sticking with me through this. These aren't easy conversations, but they are important. And you're here, listening, learning, and taking better care of yourself, and that means something. We've just got one more vegetable to talk about. It's one that many call a superfood. It's sweet, it's red, and it's packed with nutrients. But for seniors, especially those on heart meds or with low blood pressure, it might be doing a little too much. Alright, we've come to the final vegetable on today's list. And this one surprises a lot of people. Because it's sweet. It's vibrant. It's often labeled a superfood. And it's found in everything from salads, to smoothies, to trendy health juices. I'm talking about beets. Now, before we go any further, I want you to hear me clearly. Beets can be incredibly healthy. They're rich in folate, fiber, and antioxidants. They help detoxify the liver, support blood flow, and even boost brain health. But, and this is important, they are also very strong medicine, especially for a senior's cardiovascular system. Let me introduce you to Mr. Lee. He's 74, retired military, sharp as a tack, and very disciplined. When he decides to do something for his health, he commits. So after reading an article about beet juice lowering blood pressure, he started drinking it every morning, 1 tall glass, faithfully. He even swapped out his coffee to make room for it. But a few weeks in, something strange started happening. He felt dizzy when standing up. Sometimes lightheaded after walking the dog. One time, while gardening, he had to sit down because the world felt like it tilted just a bit. Nothing dramatic, but enough that he came in for a visit. Now Mr. Lee has always had naturally low blood pressure, a good thing, mostly. But he was also on a beta blocker for an old heart rhythm issue. And when we checked his vitals, sure enough, his blood pressure had dipped too low. Here's why that matters. Beets are rich in natural nitrates. And nitrates help dilate your blood vessels, meaning they open them up, improving circulation and lowering pressure. That's fantastic for many people. In fact, some heart medications are designed to do exactly that. But when you combine high-nitrate foods like beets with certain cardiac medications, especially beta blockers, ACE inhibitors, or diuretics, the result can be too much vasodilation. In simple terms, your blood vessels open too much, too fast. And your heart, which may already be working a little harder at your age, doesn't always compensate quickly enough. That's when you get the dizzy spells, the head rush, the sudden need to sit down. And for seniors, those moments can lead to falls, fainting, and accidental injury, which can change your life in an instant. So here's the myth I want to clear up today. Beet juice is the best natural heart tonic. That's a catchy phrase, but not a one-size-fits-all truth. Yes, beets can support heart health, in moderation, and when matched carefully to your body's needs. But when concentrated, like in beet juice or powder supplements, the nitrate load can be far too high for someone already on medications that lower blood pressure. So what do I recommend instead? If you enjoy beets, try having them roasted. Roasting helps reduce the intensity of the nitrates while still giving you all the fiber and earthy flavor. Eat them with a balanced meal, something that includes protein and healthy fats, which slow the absorption and help stabilize your blood pressure. And avoid beet juice unless your doctor says it's safe for your specific heart condition. I can't tell you how many well-meaning patients have walked into my office with dizziness, heart palpitations, or fatigue, and it turns out they were overdoing something healthy, like beet juice. Because here's the truth most people don't hear. Even good things can become harmful when they're not right for your body, or when they're taken in the wrong form. Mr. Lee. He didn't have to give up beets altogether. He just swapped the juice for a few roasted slices in his lunch salad, a couple of times a week. No more dizziness. No more fatigue. And he kept the benefits, without the side effects. That's the kind of balance I want for you. Because at this stage in life, your goal isn't just to live longer. It's to live stronger, clearer, more present in your body. And that means making choices that nourish, without overwhelming, the systems that are already working so hard to support you. So now, let's take a deep breath together. You've made it through 5 vegetables that many believe are universally healthy, but that, for seniors, may carry hidden risks. Let's quickly recap. Spinach, rich but risky for kidneys due to oxalates. Raw tomatoes, great in moderation, but can irritate GERD and affect heart rhythm. White potatoes, watch out for blood sugar spikes and added sodium. Eggplant, a nightshade that can worsen inflammation and rhythm issues in sensitive people. Beets, powerful, yes, but too much nitrate can overly drop blood pressure. You see, it's not about cutting these foods out completely. It's about understanding how they affect you now, and choosing wisely. And if this has helped you rethink your meals, even just a little, I'd love to invite you to join the Senior Healing community. We're here every week, sharing calm, practical, doctor-approved videos, always with care, always with your heart and your healing in mind. You're not alone on this path. And the choices you make, even small ones, can build a stronger, healthier future for you and those you love. Ready for the next step? Because in the next segment, we're going to talk about something even more powerful than vegetables. It's the way we frame aging itself, and how a simple shift in how we see our bodies can change the way we feel every single day. Now, let's take a moment together. Just you and me. Because if you've made it this far, I know your heart isn't just beating, it's listening. And maybe, just maybe, it's feeling a little bit heavy right now. You might be thinking, I've been eating these vegetables my whole life, thinking I was doing the right thing. Why didn't anyone tell me this sooner? Or maybe there's a quiet sense of confusion, even betrayal, and that's okay. I want to say this clearly, and with love. It's not your fault. You were told, like so many of us were, that vegetables are always healthy. That more is better. That greens are good. That juice is medicine. And most of the time, that's true. But not always. Not for everybody. Not in every season of life. Because the body you live in today, the one that's carried you through joy, pain, milestones, quiet mornings and long nights, that body is not the same as it was at 30. Or even 50. And that's not failure. That's not weakness. That is aging. And aging is not something to fear. It's change. And with change comes new wisdom, new awareness, and a deeper kind of care. See, when you were younger, your body could absorb and process a wide range of foods without a second thought. But now it speaks more softly. It asks for gentler rhythms. It responds more deeply to small shifts. And those shifts matter. Because here's the beautiful truth. It is never too late to feel better. Never too late to protect your heart. Never too late to ease the burden on your kidneys. Never too late to change one small thing, like lightly steaming your spinach instead of eating it raw, or swapping a tomato salad for a roasted medley. Sometimes, that one small shift can restore clarity, can calm your heartbeat, can give you energy to walk just a little farther, rest just a little easier, smile just a little wider. And for those of you listening right now who are caregivers, children, spouses, neighbors, friends, I see you too. Your role isn't small. Every gentle reminder, every thoughtful meal, every quiet decision you make behind the scenes. You are reducing hospital visits. You are adding peaceful years. You are giving someone you love the gift of comfort and protection. And even when no one says it out loud, you are making a difference. So let's softly bring everything together now. Today, we explored 5 vegetables that may be quietly working against your heart's health, depending on your unique condition. Spinach, with its oxalates that stress kidneys and indirectly your heart. Raw tomatoes, high in potassium and acid that affect rhythm and reflux. Potatoes, often paired with sodium and sugar-spiking starch. Eggplant, a nightshade that can trigger inflammation or arrhythmia. And beets, powerful but potentially dangerous when overused, especially in juice form. Each one, in the right context, can be helpful or harmful. It's not about fear. It's about knowing your body and matching your meals to your moment in life. So let me ask you, have you ever felt off after eating something that was supposed to be healthy? Maybe more tired than usual. Maybe your blood pressure rose, or your stomach didn't settle right. I'd love to hear your story in the comments. Because here on Senior Healing, every comment has the power to teach, to guide, to help someone else feel just a little less alone on their journey. And if this video spoke to something in you, if it gave you clarity, or comfort, or even just curiosity, I warmly invite you to subscribe. We're building a gentle, grounded community here. A place for real stories, real science, and real heart. A place where healing isn't just about medicine. It's about understanding, compassion, and hope. Because your heart deserves peace. Your body deserves kindness. And you deserve to feel safe in your health decisions. Next week, we'll be talking about something that could quietly protect your brain, especially after 60. A simple morning habit that may reduce your risk of stroke and support clear thinking all day long. So take care of your beautiful self today. Drink some water. Breathe a little deeper. And remember, every wise step you take is one more act of healing. We'll see you again soon. Take care.